Imagine standing at the edge of time, looking back at the vast expanse of history. From the birth of the universe to the modern world we live in today, our story is one of survival, innovation, and transformation. But history isn't just a collection of past events, it's the foundation of our present and the blueprint for our future. Understanding history allows us to learn from the triumphs and mistakes of those who came before us. It reveals how civilizations rose and fell, how ideas shaped societies, and how humanity evolved through war, peace, and discovery. Every invention, revolution, and cultural shift has led us to this very moment. In this journey we will travel from the very birth of the universe to the formation of Earth, the rise of the first humans, and all the way to the modern world. From the dawn of civilization to the digital age, we will explore the key moments that defined our existence. This is the story of us, the story of the world. Let's begin. Our story begins 13.8 billion years ago with an explosion, the Big Bang. In the beginning, there was nothing, no stars, no planets, no life. And then, boom! In a single instant, the universe was born. The universe, once a chaotic storm of energy and particles, slowly began to take shape. Stars ignited, galaxies formed, and amidst this cosmic ballet, our own Milky Way came into existence. Around 4.5 billion years ago, within a swirling cloud of gas and dust, gravity sculpted a new world, Earth. At first it was a violent and hostile place, bombarded by asteroids and covered in molten lava. But as time passed, the planet cooled, oceans formed, and a thin atmosphere took shape. Then, something remarkable happened. Life began. The first microbes appeared in the depths of the ocean, thriving near hydrothermal vents. Over billions of years, these simple organisms evolved, giving rise to more complex life. Algae filled the oceans with oxygen, plants emerged on land, and animals soon followed. From microscopic bacteria to towering dinosaurs, Earth became a world teeming with life, setting the stage for the rise of humanity. This was the dawn of everything, the first chapter in the grand story of our world. For millions of years, Earth belonged to the wild. But around 300,000 years ago, something changed. A new species emerged, one with intelligence, curiosity, and the power to shape the world. They were Homo sapiens, the first modern humans. Unlike any species before them, they created tools, built shelters, and even formed languages. For thousands of years they lived as hunter-gatherers, moving from place to place in search of food, but then, they made a discovery that would change everything. Around 10,000 BCE, humans unlocked the secret of nature. They learned how to grow their own food. The agricultural revolution had begun. Instead of chasing food, people began to settle. Small villages grew into towns, and soon the first great civilizations were born. Some of the earliest civilizations rose along mighty rivers. In Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates, the Sumerians built the first cities. In Egypt, along the Nile, great pharaohs ruled over vast kingdoms. In the Indus Valley, advanced cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro thrived. And in China, powerful dynasties laid the foundations for one of the world's oldest cultures. These civilizations developed laws, trade, and incredible architecture. But perhaps their greatest achievement was writing. The Sumerians were the first to record their thoughts using symbols on clay. This was the birth of writing. With it, history could be remembered, laws could be written, and knowledge could be passed through generations. As civilizations grew, so did their ambitions. The Babylonians created vast empires. The pharaohs of Egypt built monuments that touched the sky, and great rulers sought to control land, trade, and power. From simple tribes to mighty empires, humanity had taken its first great steps, but even greater civilizations were yet to come. In the next chapter we witness the rise of legendary empires, Greece, Rome, China, and India, as they shaped the world in ways we still see today. As human civilization advanced, powerful empires emerged, shaping the world through innovation, conquest, and culture. This era, known as the Classical Era, saw the rise of some of the most influential civilizations in history. In the city-states of ancient Greece, a new way of thinking was born. Athens became the cradle of democracy, where citizens could participate in decision-making. Great philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle laid the foundations of Western thought, questioning the nature of existence, morality, and governance. Meanwhile, Greek scientists like Archimedes and Pythagoras revolutionized mathematics and engineering. Beyond philosophy, Greece was also known for its legendary warriors. The city-state of Sparta raised some of the fiercest fighters in history, while leaders like Alexander the Great expanded Greek influence across vast territories, from Egypt to India, blending cultures in what became known as the Hellenistic Age. While Greece influenced thought, Rome mastered law, military strategy, and engineering. The Romans built roads, aqueducts, and architectural marvels like the Colosseum. Their legal system, with concepts like innocent until proven guilty, became the foundation for many modern legal codes. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched from Britain to the Middle East. Its powerful legions enforced order, while its economy thrived on trade and conquest. But Rome was not invincible. Political corruption, economic struggles, and barbarian invasions led to its gradual decline, and in 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire fell. However, its legacy would live on for centuries. In the East, China was also rising as a global power. The Qin dynasty, 221 BCE, unified China for the first time under Emperor Qin Shi Huang, who commissioned the Great Wall to defend against invaders. The Han dynasty, 206 BCE, 220 CE, followed, bringing advancements in papermaking, silk production, and governance. Confucianism became the guiding philosophy of Chinese society, emphasizing respect, duty, and education. In South Asia, the Maurya Empire, 321 BCE, united much of the Indian subcontinent under Chandragupta Maurya, while his grandson, Ashoka the Great, embraced Buddhism and promoted peace and tolerance. Later, the Gupta Empire, 319–550 CE, ushered in a golden age, making advancements in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and art. The concept of zero and early surgical techniques were among the many contributions of Indian scholars. While these empires flourished, they weren't isolated. Trade routes like the Silk Road connected China, India, the Middle East, and Europe. Along with silk, spices, and precious metals, these routes carried ideas, religions, and technologies across continents. Buddhism spread from India to China, Roman glassware reached the Far East, and Arabic numerals traveled westward, shaping the future of civilizations. As the classical era progressed, these great civilizations laid the foundation for modern society. But their power was not eternal. Storms of change were coming, leading humanity into the next chapter of its history. As the great empires of the classical world declined, humanity entered a period of war, transformation, and rebirth. The Middle Ages, often called the Dark Ages, saw the fall of Rome, the rise of feudal kingdoms, and deadly plagues. But even in these turbulent times, knowledge flourished in unexpected places. This chapter explores the journey from medieval struggles to the brilliance of the Renaissance. In 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire collapsed under the pressure of invasions, economic troubles, and internal corruption. With no strong central government, Europe fragmented into smaller kingdoms, ruled by kings and warlords. This gave rise to feudalism, a system where land was exchanged for loyalty and military service. Lords controlled vast estates, knights protected them, and peasants worked the land in exchange for shelter and security. During this time, the Catholic Church became the most powerful institution, influencing both kings and common people. Monasteries preserved ancient knowledge, copying manuscripts that would later fuel the Renaissance. While Europe struggled, the Islamic world experienced a golden age of learning. Between the 8th and 14th centuries, scholars from Baghdad, Damascus, and Cordoba made groundbreaking discoveries in science, medicine, mathematics, and philosophy. Algebra was developed by Al-Khwarizmi, whose name gives us the word algorithm. Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna, wrote the Canon of Medicine, a medical encyclopedia used for centuries. Astronomers and engineers built precise clocks, mapped the stars, and improved navigation. Knowledge from ancient Greece, Rome, Persia, and India was preserved and expanded upon, eventually reaching Europe through trade and conflict. In the 13th century, a fierce new power emerged from the steppes of Central Asia, the Mongol Empire, led by Genghis Khan. Within a few decades, the Mongols created the largest land empire in history, stretching from China to Eastern Europe. Although known for their brutal conquests, the Mongols also played a key role in connecting civilizations. They reopened the Silk Road, allowing trade and ideas to flow between the East and West. In the 14th century, disaster struck Europe. The Black Death, a deadly plague, swept through cities and villages, killing up to 50% of the population. The disease spread through rats and fleas carried by trade ships, devastating societies from Asia to Europe. With so many people lost, the feudal system began to collapse. Workers demanded higher wages, peasants rebelled, and new ideas about society and science started taking hold. Out of the darkness of the Middle Ages came a cultural revolution, the Renaissance. Beginning in Italy in the 14th century, this movement revived art, science, and humanism, inspired by ancient Greek and Roman knowledge. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, combining science and art. Michelangelo sculpted David and painted the Sistine Chapel ceiling. Galileo Galilei improved the telescope, proving that the Earth was not the center of the universe. The printing press, invented by Johannes Gutenberg, revolutionized communication, making books more accessible and spreading new ideas across Europe. With new knowledge and a thirst for adventure, European explorers set out to discover new lands. This period, known as the Age of Exploration, saw daring voyages that changed history. Christopher Columbus in 1492 reached the Americas, opening the door to European colonization. Vasco da Gama in 1498 found a sea route to India, boosting global trade. Ferdinand Magellan in 1519 led the first expedition to circumnavigate the world. These discoveries brought wealth and power to Europe but also devastated indigenous civilizations through conquest and disease. The Middle Ages were marked by hardship, yet they paved the way for one of the most transformative periods in history. The Renaissance and the Age of Exploration would set the foundation for the modern era, shaping science, politics, and global connections. But this was just the beginning. A new intellectual revolution was on the horizon, one that would challenge monarchies, redefine human rights, and spark the industrial age. As the Renaissance faded, humanity entered an age of discovery, revolution, and transformation. Scientific breakthroughs challenged old beliefs, revolutions overthrew monarchies, and machines reshaped the world. This chapter explores the scientific awakening, the fight for democracy, and the rise of industry, paving the way for the modern era. For centuries, people believed that Earth was the center of the universe, a view supported by the Catholic Church. But in the 16th and 17th centuries, brilliant thinkers challenged these ideas and laid the foundation for modern science. Nicholas Copernicus, in 1543, proposed the heliocentric theory, the idea that the Earth revolves around the Sun. Galileo Galilei, in 1609, improved the telescope, proving Copernicus's theory and facing persecution for his discoveries. Isaac Newton, in 1687, formulated the laws of motion and gravity, explaining how the universe functions. The scientific revolution didn't just change how people saw the stars, it changed how they saw the world. It encouraged experimentation, reasoning, and the pursuit of knowledge, leading to technological advancements that would soon transform society. As scientific thinking spread, so did new ideas about government, freedom, and human rights. The Enlightenment, spanning the 17th and 18th centuries, was a time when philosophers questioned absolute monarchy and divine rule, advocating for democracy and equality. John Locke argued that all people have natural rights, life, liberty, and property. Voltaire promoted freedom of speech and religion. Jean-Jacques Rousseau believed in social contracts, where governments should serve the people. These ideas inspired revolutions that changed history forever. The 18th century was a time of change. Ideas of freedom and democracy spread like wildfire, igniting revolutions that reshaped nations. It all began with a cry for justice, a defiant stand against tyranny. Across the Atlantic, 13 colonies lived under British rule, burdened by taxes and laws they had no say in. Frustration turned to resistance, and resistance turned to war. Under the leadership of George Washington, the colonies fought for their right to govern themselves. Then, in 1776, they made their boldest move yet, the Declaration of Independence. A new nation was born, the United States of America. No longer under the rule of a king, it was built on the promise of democracy and individual freedoms. The world watched as a nation forged its own destiny. But the fire of revolution did not stop there. Inspired by the Americans, the people of France turned against their own monarchy. Starvation, inequality, and oppression had pushed them to the edge. Then, on a fateful day in 1789, the anger of the people erupted. The storming of the Bastille marked the beginning of a revolution. The cry of liberty, equality, fraternity echoed through the streets. The monarchy crumbled. King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette met their fate at the guillotine. France was free from its rulers, but chaos followed. In the end, democracy had taken root, but so had uncertainty, until a man named Napoleon Bonaparte seized power, changing France's course forever. These revolutions sent a powerful message across the world. People had the power to rule themselves. The world was changing once again, but this time, it wasn't the roar of battle that signaled a revolution. It was the hiss of steam, the hum of machines, and the clang of iron. By the 18th and 19th centuries, a new force was transforming society. The old ways of life, built on agriculture and handcraft, were giving way to something faster, more powerful. The Industrial Revolution had begun. In 1769, James Watt perfected the steam engine, an invention that would power factories, ships, and trains. The spinning jenny, invented in 1764, revolutionized the textile industry. The factory system emerged, replacing slow manual labor with machines that could work endlessly. The rise of industry pulled millions from farms into growing cities. The once quiet countryside gave way. New industries created jobs, but factory life was harsh. Long hours, low wages, and dangerous conditions. Steam-powered ships and railroads expanded travel and trade. The world became more connected. Smoke filled the skies, rivers ran dark, and people worried about pollution. The Industrial Revolution reshaped the world, paving the way for modern economies. The Scientific Revolution taught us to explore. The Enlightenment championed freedom and democracy. The American and French revolutions proved that people could change governments. The Industrial Revolution introduced technology that drives modern society, but with advances came new challenges: war, imperialism, and social struggles. The 20th century was a time of great conflict, rapid technological progress, and global transformation. Humanity experienced 2 world wars, economic turmoil, ideological battles, and the birth of the digital age. This chapter explores how war, innovation, and global power shifts shaped the modern world. In 1914, a single gunshot shattered the fragile peace of Europe. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist, and within weeks, the world was at war. What began as a regional conflict quickly escalated as powerful nations took sides, bound by alliances and old rivalries. 2 major alliances emerged, each determined to crush the other. On one side, the Allied powers, Britain, France, and Russia, later joined by the United States. Opposing them, the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. The war spread across continents, dragging millions of soldiers into its grasp. This was not like the wars of the past. Machine guns, tanks, and poison gas turned battlefields into nightmares. Soldiers dug deep into the earth, creating vast trench networks, where they endured months of brutal, stagnant warfare. Victory came at a terrible cost, mass casualties on a scale the world had never seen before. After 4 years of bloodshed, the war finally ended with the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. Germany was blamed and forced to pay heavy reparations, a decision that would fuel future conflicts. In an effort to prevent another war, the League of Nations was created, but its weakness would soon become clear. The world hoped for lasting peace, but beneath the surface, the seeds of World War II had already been sown. In 1929, the unthinkable happened. The stock market crashed, sending shockwaves through the global economy. In an instant, fortunes vanished, businesses crumbled, and the world plunged into financial chaos. As banks collapsed and factories shut down, unemployment soared. Families lost their homes, and millions struggled to find food. Once thriving cities fell into despair as poverty and hunger spread like a shadow across the world. Governments scrambled to respond. In the United States, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal, a series of programs aimed at creating jobs and rebuilding the economy. It offered hope, but recovery was slow, and for many, the suffering continued. The hardship bred frustration and political instability. As people grew desperate, they turned to leaders who promised change, leaders like Adolf Hitler, whose rise to power would soon lead the world into an even greater catastrophe. In 1939, war erupted once again. Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, sought expansion, joined by Italy under Mussolini and Japan. When Hitler's forces invaded Poland, the world had no choice but to fight. As battles raged across Europe and the Pacific, Hitler's Nazi regime carried out one of history's greatest atrocities, the Holocaust, the genocide of 6 million Jews. In 1941, the war expanded further. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, drawing the United States into the fight. The world was now fully at war. In 1944, the Allies launched D-Day, storming the beaches of Normandy, France. It was a decisive blow against Germany, pushing Hitler's forces back. Then, in 1945, the war came to a devastating conclusion. The United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, forcing Japan to surrender and bringing the war to an end. The cost was staggering. Over 70 million people had lost their lives. In the hope of preventing another war, nations came together to form the United Nations. But a new rivalry emerged. The United States and the Soviet Union had risen as superpowers, setting the stage for the Cold War. After World War II, two superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union. Their rivalry led to a different kind of war, a Cold War, fought not on battlefields but in politics, espionage, and the threat of nuclear destruction. Both sides built massive nuclear arsenals, each capable of destroying the planet. The world held its breath, hoping war would never come. But the Cold War was not just about weapons, it was also a race for the stars. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first satellite. In 1969, the United States landed a man on the moon. The space race pushed human innovation to new heights. For the first time in history, mankind had left Earth. While the Cold War raged, another transformation was happening. Former European colonies across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East fought for independence. The world was no longer ruled by a few powerful empires. New nations emerged, shaping global politics forever. The late 20th century saw the birth of a new revolution, not of weapons or nations, but of information. The invention of computers and the internet would change human life forever. Communication, business, and entertainment were transformed overnight. The world had entered the digital age, setting the stage for the 21st century. The 21st century is unlike any era before it. We have connected the world, revolutionized technology, and faced global challenges that will define the future of humanity. The internet transformed the world, but the rise of social media changed how we interact, work, and even think. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram reshaped global communication. Artificial intelligence is now at the heart of daily life, powering everything from smart assistants to self-driving cars. But where will AI take us next? Our planet is changing, and not for the better. Rising temperatures, extreme weather, and mass extinctions threaten the balance of life on Earth. But humanity is fighting back, investing in renewable energy, reducing carbon emissions, and searching for solutions to protect our only home. Today, nations are more interconnected than ever before. A decision made in one country can ripple across the entire world. Economies, cultures, and people are linked in ways we never imagined. New superpowers are emerging. The balance of global influence is shifting. Will this lead to unity or new conflicts? The future is full of possibilities. Will humans colonize Mars? Will AI become smarter than us? Will we solve diseases and extend human life? From space exploration to genetic engineering, we are entering an age where science fiction is becoming reality. For thousands of years, humanity has built, innovated, fought, and adapted. The past has shaped us, the present defines us, and the future, it is ours to create. History is not just a collection of dates and events. It is the story of us, our struggles, our triumphs, our mistakes, and our progress. From ancient philosophers to revolutionary scientists, from leaders who shaped nations to everyday people who made a difference, history teaches us lessons that guide our future. If we do not learn from history, we risk repeating its mistakes, but if we understand it, we can build a better tomorrow. From fire to artificial intelligence, humanity has evolved beyond imagination. We are dreamers, innovators, explorers. But what comes next? The future is unwritten. It belongs to those who dare to learn, to question, and to create. History is more than just the past. It is the foundation of our future. Keep questioning, keep exploring, keep learning. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like this video to support the channel. Comment below, what's your favorite historical era? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an epic story.